Are you in your 50s and realizing that you can't work forever, and now you're freaking out that you might not ever be able to retire? Well, all is not lost. Let me show you how to take small actions now that can make a huge difference in a surprisingly short time. Hi and welcome back to the channel. My name is Pete Matthew and I'm a 25-year veteran chartered financial planner based here in the UK. When I say veteran, I just mean grey hair, and my hair is doing weird things today and I can't fix it. Often, when I'm talking about things like pension lifetime allowance, I have to use examples of really big pension funds to explain what are, let's face it, rich people's problems, although they're no less real problems for that. But many folks I know have the opposite problem. They are worried about whether they're going to have enough at all. And maybe that's you. If it is, firstly remember that it's never too late to make a really big difference to your future. And to that end, here are 3 clear steps to taking your retirement planning in hand. Firstly, we need to get organised, and the first thing to do here is to find out all about what we have currently. So we need to dig out information about any pension that we've been a part of in the past, maybe an old employer scheme that we were a member of years ago. And there is a page on the gov.uk website where you can find contact details of these schemes if you need them, and I'll make sure there's a link to that in the description. You need to call the companies and get them to send you up-to-date details. Those pensions will either be defined benefit or DB schemes where you get a guaranteed income from a point in time, or they will be defined contribution or DC schemes where you paid in and there is a pot of money somewhere with your name on it, and someday you're going to have to make decisions about what to take out and how. Next, find out how much your state pension will be. Again, there's a link in the description to the gov.uk page where you can find that out, and how old you'll be when it will pay. What about non-pension stuff? Bank balances, savings accounts, investments, ISAs, premium bonds. What about equity in your house if you own it? All these things are assets in your favour, and until we know where we are now and how much all that stuff adds up to, we can't really begin to look forward. Now, if instead of assets you have debts, then things are going to need to change really quickly. If you are living in your overdraft and you're paying minimum payments on credit card balances, your first job is to clear these bad debts as quickly as possible. I did a video on that up here. You see, the goal of retirement is to get you to the point where you don't have to work anymore because you can live on other incomes and assets. If you still owe people money on high interest bad debt at that point, well, you won't be truly financially free at all. Okay, for our starting point, we're going to need to use the state pension age as our retirement date. We might be able to bring it forward from there and retire early, but a lot depends on the actions that we take from here on in. Also, it's worth saying that if we're in a long-term committed relationship with somebody, we really should be doing this exercise together with them, ideally, so that we're working towards the same goals. Now, if your partner can't or doesn't want to engage with this stuff, then it's going to be up to you. So we've got organised. We should now have a piece of paper with all our current finances written down, including fund values, pension amounts, and when they start being paid, etc. We now need to get focused on some kind of target. We might not actually end up hitting that target, but we got to have something to aim at. And so first we need to work out our expenses. How much does it cost us to live day to day? Now, don't go mad here, but come up with a figure every month that allows you to keep the lights and the heating on, eat reasonably healthily, and so on. Let's just say that's £20,000 a year. Add maybe 10% onto it for a little bit of fun and frivolity. That gives us £22,000 a year lifestyle that we would like to have in retirement. Now let's add up the income that we're likely to receive at our state pension age. We will have our state pension, obviously, and we know what that is now because we checked it out. And maybe there's some guaranteed work pensions, those DB schemes we talked about in our past. And we need to write down what all this will pay us from 66 or 67 or whenever. For the purposes of the example here, let's just say that that adds up to £12,000 a year in total. So we need £22,000 a year for our desired lifestyle, and we already have £12,000 of that dialed in from guaranteed pensions. So now we need to build assets that can provide us with the difference, £10,000 a year, extra. Now, as a very simple rule of thumb, we're going to multiply our annual target by 25. £10,000 multiplied by 25 gives us £250,000. And I can feel some of you freaking out right now thinking, £250,000 quid, that's just impossible. Well, it might seem so. But if you're 50 years old right now, and even if you have no assets at all, it is actually doable if you're prepared to work really hard at it. Before we get into how to do that, we just need to talk about where you live. Ideally in retirement, you want to be in a home that you own outright so that no one can kick you out of it, and that maybe you can borrow against it in later life if you need to, using something called equity release. But I realize that might not be possible for everybody, so at the very least we need to have a secure, rented home. Now it might be that you need to consider some pretty radical action here. Could you move to another town or even another county to get a house without a mortgage? Could you downsize significantly to get rid of any mortgage that's left and be debt-free? I reckon anything is worth considering to become financially independent. So don't be too wedded to a particular location or property if doing so just means that you've got to work until you drop. Okay, it's time to get practical, but before we do, please just take half a second to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're not already. These things really help to keep the channel visible to as many people as possible, so thank you very much. Okay, we've got a target. Let's call it 250,000. Sounds like a lot of money, but that's what we need to have available on top of our retirement income. How on earth are we going to get there? Well, the secret to this, folks, is in regular increases and using other people's money. So if you are able to put aside £250 a month, that's £3,000 a year. If that is invested and you get a 6% return, over 17 years, you could end up with £89,716. 17 years is from age 50 to the state pension age of 67. It's actually quite a long time, and you can do good stuff in that period. But you would end up with £89,716, which is some way short of our £250,000 target, but still a pretty tidy result, right? But that's if we just save £250 a month and never increase it. Whereas if we increase the amount we save each year by just 5%, which is going from £250 a month to £264 a month, just £14 a month difference in year 2. Well, in 17 years, we end up with £127,439. Much better, still some way short of our target though. If we increase our savings rate by 10% every year, we'll end up with £187,754, and now we're really starting to get there. But here is the magic touch if you're an employee, if you work for somebody else. Pay this money into your workplace pension. Maybe you're one of these people who's really skeptical about pensions, you know, Robert Maxwell and all that. But the secret of pensions is in something called tax relief, and if you're an employee, you can get your employer to pay in as well. But if you can pay in £250 into your pension from your wages, well, you're going to save £50 in tax, so it's only really going to cost you £200 to get that money in there. Your employer might well match what you put in. You don't know if you don't ask. And if they do, you now have £500 a month being saved. And with 6% investment growth and increasing how much you save by just 5% every year, you end up with, after 17 years, are you ready? £254,879. We've hit our target. And all we've done here is use the power of other people's money, tax relief, and your employer's contribution, and compounding. Plus the magic of small regular increases to make the numbers get bigger more quickly. Now, you might not have an employer to pay in for you, and if you don't, it's going to be harder work, folks. There's no magic bullet, there's no way around that. You're going to have to find more every month to put aside. And no matter what your circumstances, you're going to have to get really serious about this to make a big difference. So for example, you're going to need to commit to budgeting really hard, finding every penny you can to throw at your future retirement. If you get any pay rises, you're going to need to commit to putting as much of that extra money into your pension as possible. And you're going to need to dig into your pension provision, your current ISAs and investments or whatever, and learn about how they work, how they are invested, so that you can make better decisions about how it all should work. By the way, you can join more than 10,000 like-minded people in the Meaningful Money Facebook group. It's free, and you can ask questions in there in a really supportive place about all this stuff. The address is on the screen right now, and there's a link in the description. And there's tons of other information on this channel and others about how money and investments and pensions and compounding all work. It isn't difficult, really. You can learn about this stuff and harness these tools to build wealth for yourself. Easily, the biggest factor by far in all of this is you. Are you committed to leaving the past behind and committed to building a better future for yourself and your family? Or are you just thinking, It's too late. It's never going to get any better. I might as well carry on as I am. Well, remember, it's never too late. Yes, it would have been better to have started on this stuff years ago, but the second best time to start making a huge difference to your future is right now. Do you believe me? Well, subscribe to the channel so you'll get more videos like this, and together I promise we can do it. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.